Greetings aspirants. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs News Analysis by CivicCentre IAS, where we try to discuss the articles from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB from the UPSC CSA prelims perspective. Display a list of topics which we are going to discuss in today's video. So without any further delay, let's start with today's discussion. The first article for the today says that the Rajasthan has tabled the bill of UCC. In this context, let us see what is the Uniform Civil Code. See, the Uniform Civil Code calls for the formulation of one law for India which would be applicable to all the religious communities in the matters such as marriage, divorce, inheritance and adoption. Notably, the code comes under the Article 44 of the Constitution, which lays down that the state shall endeavour to secure a uniform civil code for the citizens throughout the territory of India. We know that it comes under the directive principles of state policy. So, these principles are not legally enforceable, but are meant to guide the state in making policies. Significantly, it has been supported by some as a way to promote the national integration and gender justice, but opposed by others as a threat to religious freedom and diversity. Interestingly, the only state in India that has a UCC is Goa, which retained its common family law known as the Goa Civil Code after it was liberated from Portuguese rule in the year 1961. The rest of the India only follow different personal laws based on their religions or community identity. The next article says that the Union Minister of State for Home, Nityanand Rai, on Thursday introduced the Disaster Management Amendment Bill of 2024 in the Lok Sabha. In this context, let us see the key highlights of the bill and briefly touch upon the National Disaster Management Authority. Firstly, know that this bill seeks to create a disaster database at national and state level and makes provision for the constitution of Urban Disaster Management Authority for the state capitals and large cities having municipal corporations except the Union Territories of Delhi and Chandigarh. Further, the database will include disaster management, fund allocation details, expenditure, preparedness and mitigation plan, risk register according to the type and severity of the risk, and such other relevant matters in accordance with such policy as may be determined by the Union government. Notably, the bill empowers the National Disaster Management Authority and the State Disaster Management Authorities to prepare the disaster plan at national level and state level, respectively, instead of the plans made by the National Executive Committee and the State Executive Committees earlier. Now, talking about the National Disaster Management Authority, in short called the NDMA, see, on December 23, 2005, the Government of India enacted the Disaster Management Act. So, it envisaged the creation of the National Disaster Management Authority, which was headed by the Prime Minister, and State Disaster Management Authorities, which is headed by the respective Chief Ministers, to spearhead and implement a holistic and integrated approach to disaster management in India. Know that the vision of this NDMA is to build a safer and disaster resilient India by a holistic, proactive, technology-driven and sustainable development strategy that involves all stakeholders and fosters a culture of prevention, preparedness and mitigation. The third article of the day says that the Union Food and Consumer Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi announced that the state governments can directly purchase rice from the Food Corporation of India under the Open Market Sales Scheme domestic from Thursday without participating in the e-auction. In this context, let us talk about the Food Corporation of India and the Open Market Sales Scheme. So what is this FCI all about? See, the Food Corporation of India, in short called the FCI, was set up under the Food Corporations Act of 1964, and it was in order to fulfill the following objectives of the food policy. Firstly, for effective price support operations for safeguarding the interests of the farmers. Secondly, for the distribution of food grains throughout the country for public distribution system. Thirdly, it is about maintaining satisfactory level of operational and buffer stocks of food grains to ensure national food security. Know that the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution is the nodal ministry for it. Now, moving on to talk about the Open Market Sale Scheme domestic. See, the Open Market Sales Scheme of domestic, in short called the OMSSD, refers to the selling of food grains by the Food Corporation of India at a predetermined prices in the open market from time to time. Hence, through this scheme, the FCI sells excess food grains particularly wheat and rice from the central pool in the open market. So, this is done through e-auctions, allowing traders, bulk consumers, and retail chains, among others, to purchase these surplus food stocks. See, usually the states are also allowed to procure food grains through the OMSS without participating in the auctions for their needs beyond what they get from the central pool to distribute to the NFSA beneficiaries. Significantly, the FCI utilizes the scheme to sell surplus stocks from the central pool at predetermined prices to achieve the following objectives. Firstly, it is to enhance the supply of food grains during the lean season and deficit regions. Secondly, to operate the open market prices. Then, to offload the excess stocks. And lastly, to reduce the carrying cost of food grains. The next article says that there has been a growth in the new orders and output eased slightly at the Indian factories in July, even as the firms raised the selling prices at the fastest pace in almost 11 years amid a significant spike in the input costs that accelerated at a 2-year high rate. This was observed in the HSBC India Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index. In this context, let us talk about the Purchasing Managers Index, in short called the PMI. So what is this index about? See, it is a survey-based measure that asks the respondents about the changes in their perception about the key business variables as compared with the previous month. Notably, the purpose of PMI is to provide information about the current and also the future business conditions to company decision makers, analysts and investors. Furthermore, it is calculated separately for the manufacturing and services sectors, and then a composite index is also constructed. Hence, the PMI is a number from 0 to 100. So a print above 50 means expansion, while a score below denotes the contraction. But notably, a reading at 50 indicates no change. Further, you can say that if the PMI of the previous month is higher than the PMI of the current month, it represents that the economy is contracting. Know that it is usually released at the start of every month. It is therefore considered a good leading indicator of economic activity. Remember that this PMI is compiled by IHS Markit for more than 40 economies worldwide. This IHS Markit is a global leader in information, analytics and solutions for the major industries and markets that drive the economies worldwide. Further, this IHS Markit is part of S&P Global. Now, moving on to the next article, it says that India may be the fastest growing major economy, but it will take at least 75 years for its per capita income to reach a quarter of that of United States. If this is in the context if the current trends continue. The World Bank has also warned about it, identifying it as one of the 100 odd countries, including the China, that might face the risk of falling into the middle income trap. Now, what do you know about this middle income trap? See, a middle income trap is a scenario where the country's economy is unable to transition to higher per capita income levels. Notably, the low income countries often tend to transition faster to middle income levels, driven by low wages, cheap labor, and basic technology catch-up. However, only a few countries manage to achieve high income status. Now, let us talk about this per capita income. A per capita income or the total income measures the average income earned per person in a given area, which might be region, country, city, etc. in a specified year. Know that it is calculated by dividing the area's total income by its total population. Hence, in simple words, you can say that per capita income is equals to the total income divided by the total population. Significantly, the per capita income compares and assesses the economic situations of the countries with varying population sizes. Further, the measurement of a country's per capita income is done by dividing the total national income of a particular country or the state by the population in that specific geographical region. Know that when calculating the country's per capita income, every individual is taken into account. So, the calculation includes men, women, children and also babies. This is mainly because the measurement considers the entire country's population or a specific geographical location. The next article says that in a landmark judgment of 6-1 majority, a 7-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court held that scheduled castes do not constitute a socially homogeneous class and can be subclassified by states for the purpose of providing reservation to the less privileged among them. Further, this Supreme Court's ruling overruled the 2004 judgment in the E.V. Chennaiah versus the state of Andhra Pradesh case, wherein it was held that scheduled castes constituted a homogeneous group and cannot be subcategorized. Chief Justice Chandrachud referred of a 9-judge bench in the Indra Sawhney case had held it constitutional to classify the backward class into the backward and the more backward class of citizens. The same principle would apply to the scheduled castes also. Now, talking about the Indra Sawhney others versus the Union of India case of 1992, the Supreme Court, while upholding the 27% quota for the backward classes, struck down the government notification reserving 10% government jobs for economically backward classes among the higher castes. Furthermore, Supreme Court in the same case also upheld that the principle that combined reservation beneficiaries should not exceed 50% of the India's population. Significantly, the concept of creamy layer also gained currency through this judgment, and the provision that the reservation for the backward classes should be confined to initial appointments only and not extend to promotions. The next article says that following the budget announcement to cut the import duty on gold, the government plans to make a final decision regarding the future of sovereign gold bond scheme in September. In this context, let us talk about the various aspects related to the sovereign gold bond scheme, in short called the SGB. So what are the SGBs? See, they are the government securities that are denominated in the grams of gold. In other words, they are the substitutes for holding the physical gold. Further, investors pay the issue price in cash and redeem the bonds in cash upon maturity. Know that the Reserve Bank of India issues these sovereign gold bonds on behalf of the Government of India. But why buy the bonds instead of physical gold? Let us see the benefits or the reasons for it. Firstly, the quantity of gold is protected as the investors receive the market price at redemption. Secondly, it eliminates the storage risks and costs. Thirdly, it assures the market value of gold at maturity and provides periodic interest. Then, it is free from issues like making charges and purity concerns associated with the jewelry. And lastly, the bonds are held in RBI's books or in demat form, eliminating the risk of losing physical scrip. Now, who are eligible to invest in the sovereign gold bonds? Firstly, residents of India as defined under the Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999. Then the eligible investors include individuals, Hindu undivided families, trusts, universities and charitable institutions. Lastly, the individuals who become non-residents after the investment can continue to hold the sovereign gold bonds till early redemption or maturity. The next article says that the researchers have made a groundbreaking discovery of a vampire star in the star cluster M67 located in the constellation Cancer. Significantly, the study provides rare insights into the binary star evolution process and provides an important missing link in the rejuvenation of these stars. So, what are the vampire stars? See, these vampire stars are known to astronomers as blue straggler stars. Notably, they are identified very easily in the star clusters. These stars defy simple models of stellar evolution and show many characteristics of younger stars. Further, this anomalous youth is explained theoretically as due to the regeneration by eating up material from a binary star companion. Significantly, the star clusters are useful test beds to test this theory as they host a large number of binary stars, some of which can lead to the formation of vampire stars. Once regenerated, these stars follow a different path of evolution when compared to sun-like single stars. Now, moving on to talk about the AstroSat. It is India's first dedicated multi-wavelength space observatory aimed at studying celestial sources in X-ray, optical and UV spectral bands simultaneously. Know that AstroSat with a liftoff mass of 1515 kg was launched by the Indian launch vehicle PSLV from the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. Further, it was launched on September 28, 2015 into a 650-kilometer orbit inclined at an angle of 6 degrees to the equator. Additionally, the Spacecraft Control Center at the Mission Operations Complex of ISRO Telemetry, Tracking and Command Network, Bengaluru, manages the satellite during its entire mission life. Know that the minimum useful life of the AstroSat mission is around 5 years. Further, it carries a total 5 scientific payloads enabling imaging and studying the temporal and spectral properties of galactic and extragalactic cosmic sources in a wide range of wavelengths on a common platform. Now, if we have to talk about the scientific objectives of the mission, firstly, it is to understand high energy processes in the binary star systems containing neutron stars and black holes. Secondly, to estimate the magnetic fields of the neutron stars. Thirdly, to study the star birth regions and high energy processes in star systems lying beyond our galaxy. Fourthly, to detect new briefly bright X-ray sources in the sky. And lastly, to perform a limited deep field survey of the universe in the ultraviolet region. The next article is also from the PIB dated 1st August, says that the production of key minerals in India such as iron ore and limestone has shown robust growth in the Q1 of the financial year 2024-25, continuing the trend of record production levels achieved in the financial year 2023-24. Further, the iron ore and limestone collectively account for about 80% of the total mineral production by value under the Mineral Conservation and Development Rules. If we look at the production figures for the financial year 2023-24, the iron ore produced was at 275 million tons and limestone was at 450 million metric tons. If we specifically look at the Q1 of the financial year 2024-25, the iron ore production stood at 79 million metric tons with a 9.7% growth from the 72 million metric tons in the Q1 of the financial year 2024-25. Further, the limestone was at 116 MMT with a 1.8% growth from 1114 MMT in Q1 of the financial year 2023-24. Lastly, the manganese ore was at 1 MMT with 11% growth from 0.9 MMT in the first quarter of the financial year 2023-24. Now, talking about the primary aluminium for the first quarter of financial year 2024-25, it was 10.43 lakh tons, and for the financial year 2023-24, it was 10.28 lakh tons with a growth of 1.2%. Now, talking about the rankings of India, our country stood in the second position with respect to the production of aluminium, and our country is the third largest producer of limestone, and our country is the fourth largest producer of the iron ore in the world. Now, what are the implications to it, our country, or what does this imply? Okay. Firstly, the continued growth in the production of the iron ore and limestone indicates strong demand in the steel and cement industries. Additionally, the growth in aluminium production reflects ongoing robust economic activity in the sectors such as energy, infrastructure, construction, automotive, and machinery. The last article of the today from the PIB talks about the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, in short called the PMKSY. In this context, let us talk about the various aspects related to it. Firstly, you have to know that the Ministry of Food Processing Industries has been implementing the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, which is a central sector umbrella scheme since the year 2017 and 18. Significantly, the PMKSY aims to create modern infrastructure with efficient supply chain management from the farm gate to retail outlet, significantly contributing to the food preservation and processing infrastructure in India. Further, the PMKSY comprises several component schemes designed to support food processing projects through grants in aid or subsidies, thereby encouraging investments in both on-farm and off-farm preservation and processing infrastructure. The component schemes include mega food parks, integrated cold chain and value addition infrastructure, creation of infrastructure for agro-processing clusters, creation or expansion of food processing and preservation capacities, and creation of backward and forward linkages. Note that the mega food parks and the creation of backward and forward linkages have been discontinued from 1st of April 2021. Now, what is the role of ICAR with respect to this scheme? So, the Indian Council of Agriculture Research supports the PMKSY by developing post-harvest machinery, storage structures, and value-added products. Further, the ICAR also conducts training and outreach activities to promote modern storage systems and reduce post-harvest losses. Now, what are these activities it conducts? See, they are technology transfer, training and outreach like melas, MGMG visits, public lectures and media dissemination, and consultancy services for the storage-related studies. Then, talking about the financial assistance, from the year 2018-19 to the year 2023-24, financial assistance of 2,513.27 crore was provided to 553 food processing projects under the components of PMKSY. Further, know that PMKSY is demand driven and does not allocate funds based on the state, district, region or crop. So the financial support is provided based on the demand for setting up food processing projects. So this is the end of our today's discussion. We have discussed 10 articles in total from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB from the UPSC CSA prelims perspective. We will be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.